You're most likely watching this video because you think that you're doing something wrong with your non-dominant arm on your forehand and it's preventing you from hitting a high quality forehand. And you most likely think that because you've watched other YouTube videos where coaches have told you what you should be doing with your non-dominant hand. I speak to players all the time that think that that's the case. In this video, I want to show you why it isn't the case, and I want to help you think about your forehand in a different way to hopefully help you improve more. If you find the video helpful, it'd be great if you give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel before, always much appreciated if you could do that as well. So when it comes to the non-dominant hand, there are generally two things that you hear from coaches. One of them is about the way that you take your racket back as part of your unit turn. You often hear coaches talking about releasing the racket at a certain point. So you do your unit turn and they generally point to professional tennis players and go, look, Alcaraz releases his racket there, or Djokovic releases the racket there. That's what you should do. So that's one of the times where they talk about it. And the other one is you hear a lot of coaches talking about the importance of the left arm clearing, and they're often showing a picture of a recreation and amateur player and the left arm is down by the side somewhere, and they're going, look, that's your problem. If you watch Djokovic, if you watch the best player in the world, their arm is up there somewhere and yours is down there, so this is the problem with your forehand. So what I want to do is illustrate why that isn't the case. What I'm going to show you is a little bit obnoxious, but I think hopefully it proves the point, and then I'll explain what's probably going on with your forehand and what you should work on. So in these videos, I'm hitting forehands with my hand in my pocket, and I'm doing this to illustrate that it doesn't really matter what your non-dominant hand does. I'm not even holding the racket as I take it back, and you can see that my arm is staying by my side as I do my forward swing. I set up a couple of different feeds, so I did an easy one where I was hitting from a neutral stance, I went cross court, I went down the line. I set up a wide feed, so I was using a different footwork pattern, cross court, down the line, and then I did a high ball, again, different footwork pattern, and I went cross court down the line. And I'm actually naturally a right-handed player, but I had to stop playing right-handed, and now I'm relearning to play tennis with my left hand. So I'm doing these demonstrations with my left hand, and they're pretty reasonable looking forehands, and you can see that my non-dominant arm isn't really involved. So now that you've seen that obnoxious demonstration, I want to talk about what's probably going on with you and what you might need to focus on to really significantly improve your forehand. Firstly, when it comes to the preparation, I do encourage players to take their racket back with the non-dominant hand. But I want you to understand that the precise position that you release the racket in isn't the thing that's going to dictate whether you have a good forehand or not. You can release the racket really soon, you could release the racket at 90 degrees, you could release the racket past 90 degrees. They're all viable options and you can hit amazing forehands with all of them. Now, if you're working with a coach and they're giving you a coaching cue to release in a specific position and it's helping you, then obviously keep on doing it. I'm just trying to explain things to help you understand for the vast majority of players that that exact position isn't the deciding factor or not. Coaches also recommend using that non-dominant hand to help give you a gauge for spacing, and that can be a reasonable coaching cue, but what's important to understand there is that generally if you are setting up so that the ball's in that position and you're going to be using your hand as the gauge for how close or how far away you should be, you're generally going to be too close to the ball, because if I'm going to swing, I actually need the ball to be a full foot further away. So it can be a useful kind of initial gauge, but you actually want to be setting up further away from the ball. Now, when it comes to the non-dominant arm clearing the body, I think that one is a case of coaches confusing correlation with causation. They see top players where the arm does this and they go, yeah, right, that has to happen. But I've clearly just demonstrated that the left arm doesn't have to go to there in order for you to hit a decent quality forehand. The reason that the left arm clears on high level players is because they've got good timing and because they use their kinetic chain effectively. So they're driving through the back or outside hip, followed by the torso rotation, then the arm coming through, and then the racket comes through. And my left arm is attached to my shoulder, which is attached to my torso. So the reason that my left arm clears is because I'm driving through the hip and the torso is rotating so quickly, and just the left arm does that as a product of what's happening with the upper body. So the hips, the upper body, this arm are what are going to deal with the ball, well, what's going to create the racket head speed and what's going to lead to the contact. This arm is just going there through momentum, because if I leave it there and I spin around, it goes over there somewhere. So I don't have to consciously throw it back. I'm thinking about the hip, the torso, and the arm. So if you're really struggling with your forehand, there are normally 3 things that go on for most players. The first one is late preparation. So you want to record yourself and make sure that you're actually preparing in time. The second one is going to be setting up the right distance from the ball. A lot of players, they either don't move forwards for a short ball, they don't move backwards for a deep ball, and a lot of players get too close to the ball, and that really prevents them from using optimal biomechanics. And then the third one, and the hardest thing, is the timing. Every single shot or every single ball is different. You have to be able to read the flight of the ball, and you have to initiate your swing and adjust the speed of your swing based on the flight of the ball. And that's really hard because it requires a lot of hand-to-eye coordination. So those are the 3 things that you normally have to focus on addressing if you want to significantly improve your forehand. Now, if you would like help fixing those underlying problems, I've created a masterclass that's dedicated to showing you how to address all of them. So I'll place a link to that down in the description so that you can check that out if you would like to learn more. But hopefully what I've explained here makes sense. And again, I just want to clarify, if you're working with a coach and they give you a coaching cue and it's helping you, then obviously keep focusing on that coaching cue. But the vast majority of the time I'm talking to players where they're thinking about their left arm and it's not solving any of their problems because they've normally got those 3 things that I've just described as being fundamental problems that they really need to, fix before they're going to develop their forehand. Okay? Any questions or comments about what I've covered here, leave them down in the comment section. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.